Welcome to this video on navigating Westlaw to find journal articles. Before we start, remember that Westlaw is a subscription-based service, so you will need to be logged in via the library to access this database. So here is the Westlaw homepage, and you can see that we can use this search box straight away, but this is going to search the entire of the Westlaw database. So it will look at cases, legislation, the legal encyclopedia, the commentary and loose leaf services, and the journal articles. So we need to narrow the search. So here you can see that we can select secondary sources. Now you can see just under the search box, just here, we can actually refine the search by selecting just one of those things. So for example, we could select encyclopedia and we would go through to the laws of Australia. And we can select law reviews and journals and it will take us through to the section of the Westlaw database that contains law journals published by Westlaw. Now, if you know the name of the journal article that you're looking for, the quickest way to access it is to actually move over to the right-hand side and select Full Secondary Sources Library. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Alternatively, if you don't want to limit the search to one of these particular areas, then you can just move straight to the Advanced button, or you can enter your search terms into the box up here, and it will search all of these four particular aspects of the secondary sources area of the Westlaw database. So let's now move over to the right-hand side and select Full Secondary Sources Library so we can see what that looks like. Now the reason that I've done this is because of course you can enter some information into the search box at the top, but it also provides you with an alphabetical listing of all the publications that are available in the secondary sources area of the Westlaw database. So if you know that you're looking for a particular publication, all you need to do is select the appropriate letter and it will take you through. So let's say that we're looking for the Tort Law Review. Let's click T. So you can see that it has presented us with page 12, which is where T starts in the database, but we're looking for Tort Law Review, so let's look at page 13. And then you can see that it's here. So if I select that, it's then just giving us the Tort Law Review. Now, if you know the citation information for the article, you will be able to locate it by using the left-hand side over here. If you have the citation information, you can find the volume and issue, and that will narrow it down to the relevant page where the article commences. So let me give you an example here. Let's say that the citation is volume 26, so we'll click on the plus icon here, and it's issue 2. So let's click on issue 2, and then select filter. And let's say that the page number is page 60, in which case we'll just scroll down, and here we found it, look, page 60. So we have found the article that we're looking for. Now let's just select that so that we can go through and see what an article looks like. So here you can see you can download a PDF version of the article, but it's always a good idea to have a look at the electronic version because often there are hyperlinks to the sources cited in the article, so you can follow through to those sources that have been cited by the author. So for example, here there's a hyperlink through to the High Court case of Bunyan and Jordan. Note that not all of the footnotes will contain hyperlinks. Some of the references in the article will be to journals that are not published by Westlaw, and therefore you'll need to note those down and then locate them via a different database or via the library OneSearch. So here's an example of a list of journal articles referred to in this particular article that are not available within Westlaw. But it's important when we're conducting research to actually note these down and go and look at those sources as well, as they'll provide us with a really comprehensive overview of the particular topic that we're looking at. Okay, so let's go back to where we were before, and I'll now show you other methods of locating journal articles. So I will just go back to the homepage and re-navigate to the secondary sources area. So we've made our way back to the Westlaw homepage, and this time we're going to use search terms to locate journal articles on a particular topic. So let's select secondary sources so that we refine the search to that area of the Westlaw database. Now, as I've previously mentioned, you can limit it to a particular section of this aspect of the database by clicking one of these four here. And if you wanted to look at an alphabetical listing of everything that is in the secondary sources section, you can go here. But this time we're going to select Advanced because it can help us focus on search terms. So here you can see that we have the option of searching by reference to legislation. So if you know that there's legislation on a particular topic, you might want to use the legislation cited box. That will look for journal articles where that legislation has been cited. Now you need to be careful here because criminal law statutes contain a huge range of offences. So if you don't provide the provision number, so the section number of the legislation, you will produce thousands of hits because the legislation covers so many different areas of criminal law. So in that instance, you really do need to provide the section number so that Westlaw will concentrate only on those journals that mention that particular offence within that particular section. Let me give you an example of searching by legislation title. So here I'm going to type in the Invasion of Privacy Act. And I'm going to type in section 43 because I want to see what academic commentary there is on this particular part of the Invasion of Privacy Act. Now, as you can see above, by using this box, it's created a search term for us. It's auto-populated the box and we'll click search. Now you can see that it's come up with 25 secondary sources, but this will include legal encyclopedia, commentary, books, etc. So what we can do is narrow that down by the left-hand side here. We could enter more search terms if we wanted to, but in this case, if I select publication type, I can limit it to just law reviews and journals. And at this point, because I only have 4 sources to look at, I can just scan and see which are relevant. Okay, let's go back. So we're back to this advanced search area. Note that down here, we've just looked at the legislation cited, but we could also search by author. So if we knew that there was an individual who'd written a lot on a particular area of the law, we could search that way and just pull up every publication that's published by Westlaw that contains that individual as an author. If we know the title of the journal article but not the citation information, we could enter that here. But what I really want to show you is these 4 boxes at the top. These use search terms and connectors in order to help you identify journal articles on a particular topic. So you can see here that in the first box, all of these terms, if you were to enter information in here, it would only pull up the documents that contain every single one of those terms at least somewhere in the document. This box here, so this works on the basis of alternatives. So if you were to type in domestic violence into this box, it would pull up any document that contains the word domestic and any document that contains the word violence. So that obviously broadens the scope of the search considerably. This exact phrase means that you are searching for those words next to each other in the document. So you can see the example there of medical malpractice. It won't search for just medical, and it won't pull up something that's just got malpractice. And it won't pull up something that has medical in the first paragraph and malpractice in the third paragraph, for example. The words medical and malpractice have to appear together in order for it to return that document as a hit. And the final box here is the not box. What that means is that anything that you write in there will result in a document being excluded from the results if it contains that word or phrase. So that's a great way of narrowing searches when you know that there's a specific aspect of that topic that you don't want to look at all. So in this instance as a demonstration, I want to locate journal articles on the possibility of a tort of privacy. So I'll write tort, privacy, and also I want to view the tort of privacy in the context of drones. So you can see that it has auto-populated the box at the top, and because I've put it in the all of these terms box, it's placed and between each of the words to ensure that all 3 words have to appear somewhere in the document in order for that to be returned as a hit. Now let's click search. Now you can see that we've returned 10 sources, so I could just scan these and work out which ones are relevant. But those 10 results include the legal encyclopedia and loose leaf surfaces, etc. So I can narrow the scope of the number of hits by using the left-hand side. Now, of course, I could add additional search terms here, and that would search within these 10 results. I could also limit it to publication type, so I could limit it to just law reviews and journals. And I could further limit it by looking at, for example, the author. I could click this and enter an author's name who's written a lot in that area. So this bar on the left here can be quite useful at helping you to narrow down your search if you return a lot of hits. In this instance, we don't really need to do it because it only produced 10 hits in the first place. But when you've got significantly more than that, it might be quite useful to use this left-hand bar. Now, just to show you an example. Now, this is interesting because certain journal articles in Westlaw don't just offer you the option of reading the article, they actually provide you with more information via the Keysight function. So here you can see there's a tab for table of authorities. If I click on that, you can then see that it gives you a list of all the sources cited in this particular journal article with hyperlinks through where they're available. What's really interesting though is when you click citing references, because this tells us that in this case, this journal article was cited. So the court's cited or referred to this journal article in its judgment. Now here you might also find reference to other journal articles that have referred to the one that you're looking at. So it's a good way of tracking through the academic commentary on this issue, because you could then find other academics' comments on the topic via this citing references area. But it's hit and miss whether or not this will be available for the source that you're looking for. So we're now back to the advanced search area. I wanted to show you an exact phrase search. So here I'm going to type in animal rights. And you can see that it's put the phrase animal rights in double quotation marks, which means it's looking for that exact phrase, those two words next to each other in the documents. And then click search. Now again, we've got a large number of hits, 59 sources, but that kind of result isn't a concern because you can of course scan read the titles and work out which ones may be relevant and need you to review them in detail. But of course we can use this bar as well to further refine how many hits we produce, so we can use the publication type and limit it to law reviews and journals. We could also limit it by author. We could limit it by date if we were looking for very recent commentary on a topic because the law has very recently changed. You could limit it to say the last 12 months, or you can actually be more specific and use one of these radio buttons here, which then require you to enter a date. So you could pick a particular date when the law changed and use that as the reference point for determining whether or not an article appears in the list of results. This is just a quick reminder that if you end up with so many results that you can't possibly work through them all and manage them, then you need to rethink your search terms. So that involves thinking of other search terms to use as an alternative or adding more search terms to the list. It can include entering some not search terms as well. I don't look at things that contain this word. It could involve restricting your search by date range or by reference to particular types of publication. Sometimes it helps to use synonyms, which may produce a slightly narrower version of the search. It's a good idea to think about what terms the courts and academics use, as this may help you hone in on what you need